Hello, folks. So I'm going to be reviewing Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira post-fight analysis. I'm going to do this about the grappling only. So I feel like Islam did a good job of pinning Charles Oliveira against the cage, and he was really unable to use a lot of his offensive attacks. And I think this is going to hopefully shock a new wave in the UFC community. Not saying that this hasn't been done before, but it's just putting out there that, hey, when you pin a guy against the cage, Islam likes to use his head on the opponent's chin head area while he's in guard, and he pins him against the cage, and the guy is not able to shrimp, which means like not able to move his hips. Okay? So that works really well, and he was able to land some big strikes. Once Charles Oliveira was able to get back to his feet, Islam took him down again with a beautiful hip toss. And that hip toss was not the first time he's done that. He's obviously done that since he was a little kid. That was not a new skill. But I do think that Islam has reinvented himself in the aspects of grappling. I know you think Islam's been doing grappling the whole time. He's the same guy. Yes, maybe he is the same guy, but he hasn't been able to implement that till today. I always thought Islam was just as good as Khabib, but I didn't think he was able to utilize that grappling as well as Khabib. I always thought as Khabib is the gamer. You know, you always see that guy in practice. By the way, I trained with Islam and Khabib myself at AKA gym, so I know him personally. But you know, when you see him, like, there's a lot of guys in practice that are really good in practice, you know. But some guys aren't the best when the lights are on, when they say go, they freeze. And I think that's what Dana White hinted at too. You know, we'll see how he does against the pressure. And I was kind of wondering the same thing. And so yeah, anyways, he was able to throw Charles Oliveira with a beautiful hip toss, and he was able to finish him in half guard. Now I think the half guard is very interesting because he has finished his last two opponents in half guard. Dan Hooker, he finished him with a Kimura in half guard. And this last opponent, he did an arm triangle starting in half guard. Of course, he switched to a side control position later on, but they started in half guard. So that just shows a really high level of grappling skill by Islam Makhachev. What I was saying before about how I feel like he's developed his skill. You know, this goes back to Khabib too. Khabib was not the best wrestler on paper before entering the UFC, okay? He's not a collegiate wrestler like Daniel Cormier. He wrestled, I believe, in high school, and then he switched over to judo, or he might have been doing judo before, but he did judo collegiately, it looks like. And he did his sambo later on. So, you know, I don't think Khabib's wrestling was the highest level coming out of high school for Khabib. You know, I know he developed his wrestling later on in their career, which is very notable. Many guys do not develop their wrestling later on in their career. It's very unlikely. Wrestling's a sport that's a lot easier to do when you're a kid. It's a high impact, staying up sport, getting up, getting down. It's hard to develop, but I feel like Khabib developed his cage wrestling in particular, and that's what Islam's doing. He's using his cage wrestling. Cage wrestling is different than collegiate wrestling. If you don't know, collegiate wrestling is American college wrestling. But yeah, so I think that Islam has improved his cage wrestling and improved his confidence being able to implement that heavy grappling style. Now, will this grappling style persist to come? I hope so. Will Islam have more title defenses than Khabib? That's a big question that I want answered. So, very exciting stuff. He definitely shocked the world. He definitely proved his haters wrong. It was a great showing by Islam. I can't wait to see him again. Peace.